That's just annoying.
Exactly. No logical sense.
Jason, no time for funny business right now.
Not my thing.
No, his name is Paul Feinbaum. That's where it all starts for me.
buddy Paul.
And,
Hashtag fire everybody.
Yeah. We're going broke.
It's not my responsibility.
It's always your
Be
responsibility.
funny or suck.
No, this
Oh.
is not at Jason Pearl. This is at you know who.
Welcome to the Walk On Podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome into finally another edition of the Walk On Podcast. My name is Jason Prill. Alongside of me is my good friend Jordan Riddick. Jordan, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Whoa.
My voice is not doing okay.
I can't tell if you've hit puberty or you're Wheezy from Toy Story or what's going on here.
More the latter. As you know, we're students at Liberty University, and Liberty played Lipscomb University for the Atlantic Sun Tournament Championship game.
Yeah.
This past Sunday, and I screamed for about 2 hours, very loudly.
Sounds like you didn't hydrate before or after the game.
I did not do.
You have
the
to
best
lubricate
job.
your throat, Jordan.
Well, I can tell you this for free. My voice still hurts, and I will be sounding like this for the rest of the podcast, at least for this episode. So
we apologize in advance
Yes.
for your ears potentially bleeding.
yes,
But we've been busy these last few weeks, and there's been a lot of things going on in our lives. I think since the last time we released a podcast, I had a concussion.
yes. So have you healed from that, Jason?
I think so. I still twitch on occasion. But you've been roughing
Yeah.
basketball, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So you've been extremely busy. Student leadership classes have just really taken a toll on us early on in the semester, just keeping us busy. But we're back
We are.
for now. We'll see what happens. But
We got some good episodes lined up. and
We do.
planned, Yeah.
As you can tell, this one, camera episode, you can see us. Hello, guys. So this is going to be our first ever live on camera, or live to tape
Yeah.
camera episode.
Yeah.
So this is being recorded at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
on a Monday morning, or Tuesday morning.
Tuesday. It seems like Monday morning.
It feels like it. The earlier you wake up, the more it feels like a Monday.
Mhm.
But so we have cameras for this one. We also, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to jinx anything because I've had a little trouble booking them. But we may have two guests coming
Maybe.
on. And one of them may be an NFL draft prospect. That's a pretty big interview.
Huge.
So
Huge.
huge. Stay tuned to our social media. We're going to have a little bit of a marketing campaign coming up promoting those episodes, just hyping you guys up, keeping you guys in the loop. We're hoping to have those episodes to you right after, at least one of them right after spring break, which is next week for us as Liberty students. So if you're watching this later on, just realize we recorded this right before spring break. But there will be more episodes coming. We appreciate you guys, your patience, and you guys being willing to wait. But we're back for now with a lot of fun episodes. Jordan, what are we doing here?
Well, we're about to get it going with some hot topics. And just for you guys at home watching today, we're not going to waste your time with breaks. We're just going to go straight through today. And that's one of the changes that we've made. So we got 3 hot topics for you today. Jason, I think the most obvious headline, not only in sports but in the world, has been the coronavirus and the effects that it has been. It started out as a kind of a breakout in China, in mainland China. It has spread all over the world. Really, it's pretty rampant in Europe now, especially in the country of Italy, where it's pretty much shut down.
Yeah, they're on lockdown.
Yes, and now it's getting into the United States, where you have over 100 confirmed cases of this coronavirus throughout the intercontinental United States, and this is affecting a lot of sports. The MLB, the NBA, and the NHL, and I believe the MLS all together jointly yesterday announced that they would limit locker room access until this virus is contained. And this is important, especially for you and I, who are aspiring, potential multimedia journalists, where now journalists and reporters now no longer have access to these players. Why is it important that this is taken away?
Yeah, well, journalists serve a lot of important interests to the public. The First Amendment right gives us the freedom of the press.
Right.
And so obviously the press is important. And so limiting press access can do a lot of damage. Now, granted, this is an extreme circumstance, so it's not going to have as big of an impact as, say, the president keeping people out of White House press conferences. However, it does significantly limit the role of the press, and it does hurt us, at least for the short term and potentially the long term, if they decide that they don't want to re-allow access back in. The NBA Journalists Association, they did say that they have been in communication with the NBA. They are in agreement with the decision because the NBA has promised to allow them full access back.
Mm-hmm.
However, we've seen it before. Leagues like this don't necessarily like the press media like that. They like social media, they like publicity, but they don't like investigative journalism. They don't like the probing questions. And so there is a chance that they continue to limit some press coverage. Granted, I think that would hurt them in the long run.
Right.
But you never know in today's day and age, just the way feelings can get confused and hurt and upset. And so it's definitely something we need to keep our eye on as future multimedia journalists. Right now, we'll just see some less good articles. You'll see some game stories, but that's about it. Maybe some game previews, but you're not going to get anything in depth. You're not going to get any quotes. So for people reading newspapers, articles online, whatever you use, be prepared for those to look different. You're not going to hear from your favorite players. You're not going to hear from your coaches anymore. You're not going to get their opinion on what happened. If they make a dumb mistake, no one's going to hold them accountable for it. That's what journalists do. They hold them accountable for their actions. And for the next who knows how long, there's going to be no accountability.
Well, I think another thing, too, that we have to talk about this coronavirus is in Europe and obviously China, they're playing games in empty stadiums. And we have to think about what we have left on the table with the United States. We have opening day coming up at the end of March. We have March Madness coming up in a week. Even in these conference tournaments this week, and the rest of the NBA season, the rest of the NHL season. Are we going to get to that point, Jason, or are we going to contain this, outbreak to where we don't have to limit fans or even ban fans from games?
When I first saw the news that the United States was considering banning people from sporting events or keeping people away like the NCAA is considering for March Madness, I thought it was a joke. I really didn't think too much of it. However, as the virus continues to spread and you see the way Italy has responded and you see the number of cases in the United States keep rising, especially in locations where games are being played for March Madness. So I want to focus in on that a little bit right now. You take a look at Washington. They have the second highest, I believe, toll of people impacted by the coronavirus. And there's Spokane, Washington is a site for the first and second round games. You look at Ohio, Cleveland itself just came down with 3 cases, and that's another site for the first two rounds of March Madness. If I'm the NCAA and I want to protect both players, coaches, fans, and officials, maybe not at every location, but I think you're going to have to do something.
Or would you say, because this is going to be tough, but would it be worth it to change locations? And I know you're contractually obligated once you sign into that. And think about a Spokane, Washington, where, they've been kind of shut down the last couple weeks with this virus, and they're looking forward to getting more people into their area to kind of boost the money flow again. do you consider moving locations to a less likely place, like more towards the middle of the country, trying to figure out something else?
We're too late in the game for that. We're a week away from the first round of games.
I don't know if we're too late for that, Jason. I mean,
But you think about it, all the stadiums the size of what they would need for the first 2 rounds of March Madness
right?
are used by professional teams or professional leagues of their own. And the schedules...
I mean, not necessarily like they're using Greensboro this year, which is the side of the ACC tournament. I'm just saying there's a lot of options that I think that we could explore before we get to the point of saying we have to not let fans in. We have to not let press in.
But they are very significantly limited on options because all these other centers and arenas are already booked with other events and venues. Most of the time, these places are booked a year, 2 years, 3 years in advance.
Yeah.
So, like, you look at a city like Spokane, Washington, they've been prepping for this for probably the last year. They probably found out word that they were coming a long time ago and have been since putting in plans in place. And there's a lot of security that has to go into this. There's a lot of staff that has to go into this. There's just so many moving parts that go into hosting an event such as March Madness that moving it last minute would be nearly impossible, if not impossible.
Yeah. All right, let's move because we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, but let's move on to our second topic. LeBron James absolutely dominated over the weekend.
I'm not surprised.
And I'm not surprised either. The Lakers had home wins. They had a home win against the Bucks, and then beat the Clippers over the weekend. Technically, it was at the Clippers, but we know they play on the same court. LeBron
Which means
scored.
it was full of Lakers fans.
Right, exactly. It was basically another home game.
Yeah.
And LeBron had 37 against the Bucks. He had 28 against the Clippers. Both of these teams, the Lakers had not beaten before this year. Finally got the monkey off the back. I don't expect them to beat the Clippers later on in the year when they play for the fourth and final time in the regular season, because that will be a game where the Lakers will play 3 straight, and like back to back to back in 3 days, and that is because of the death of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, they did.
And they had to reschedule a game to where the Lakers play 3 straight home games in back to back to back nights. So I don't expect that to go the Lakers' way, since that's the third game of
And they
those
will
back-to-back-to-backs.
probably be resting a lot of their guys.
A lot of guys. Jason, they are the number 1 seed in the West by 6.5 games, again, over the Clippers, and they only have 20 games left. They've already clinched a playoff spot. I'm biased, so I need your opinion.
Yeah.
Is LeBron James the most valuable player in the NBA?
Well, you're asking the guy who believes that LeBron James is the best player in the NBA, period. Not just this season, but in general. As much as I love Giannis, as much as I respect Steph Curry, even though he just came back from injury, that doesn't matter. As much as I respect Kevin Durant when he's healthy, there's nobody like LeBron. We have never seen, we'll discuss more in depth later, but we have never seen a player like LeBron James. Just the physical specimen that he is, and the fact that he's been doing this for, 17, 18 seasons now?
17. You're
17 seasons. He's like 36. That's insane, and he's competing at this high of a level. We haven't seen anything like this. Michael Jordan took a gap year, or 2 or 3, whatever it was.
Year and a half
to play minor league baseball. That doesn't take much wear and tear in your body. A full grind of an NBA season where you've never sat out with injuries before, that takes a lot of wear and tear in your body. And he's still putting up 37 and 28 against the 2 other best teams in the league.
I mean, in my opinion, the Lakers, Clippers, and Bucks are the 3 best teams in the league.
I would agree.
And I don't even think that it's really
close.
that close.
No, there's nobody else remotely close.
If Philadelphia would get healthy and not suck on some nights, like Philadelphia plays so inconsistent. If they would play at their if everybody was playing at their highest level, I'd throw Philadelphia in that group. But if you were just saying overall, Philadelphia might not even be in that second tier because they're so shaky and they can lose to anybody. but they can also beat anybody. So that's why I think Philadelphia is a really interesting team coming up. But I don't know if you watched the 2 games, but I did over the weekend. It just seems like LeBron just wants it more. He's playing with some kind of new passion, new fire that I haven't seen in a player in a very, very long time.
And I think I don't want to just throw this out there, but I do think that this has a lot to do with the impact of Kobe Bryant and the passing away of him and his family.
It may be that way.
Because you've really seen a mentality and focus shift since then in the Lakers, and just their grind and their intensity and their focus, especially from LeBron James. And so I'm not going to say that LeBron's only good because of that whole ordeal, but I do believe it plays a significant role in his mindset because he's a guy who uses external factors as motivators. Yeah. You think about his family. He plays for his family. You think about his career after basketball. He plays for that. Yeah. You think about his mother. He plays for his mother to provide for her. You think about some of his past teammates. He plays for them. You think about Akron. He plays for the city of Akron.
Yeah.
And so LeBron is not a kind of guy who keeps himself out of external factors and external motivators.
Yeah.
He's the one who speaks out on political issues, the one who speaks out on social issues.
He leads in so many facets, and for the regular person, it would wear on them mentally and physically and spiritually so quickly. But he is able to hold it all together. And I think because of those things, because he cares, about his family, he cares about his team, he cares about, the kids of Akron.
My people.
Well, and the people, yes, but like
people.
specific, like starting as the I Promise School, like just
Absolutely.
shows you his care for, the people who are just less fortunate than he is, because he remembers what it felt like being a high school kid, being a middle school kid with nothing.
Yeah.
And so I think every day he chooses to let that fuel him. And I think that'll end up fueling the Lakers as a whole to a NBA championship this season after what I've seen this weekend. Let's move on. We got March Madness, as we discussed, right around the corner. It's next week. Selection show is actually this Sunday, which is absolutely incredible. Auto bids already won. We have Liberty, Belmont, Winthrop, Bradley, Utah State, and ETSU won last night over Wofford. Jason, which of these teams has the best chance to be the Cinderella? We have a lot more, in the next coming days.
Absolutely. But which of the teams that we have right now?
Right.
Yeah. Obviously I love Liberty.
Right.
And I'm biased toward Liberty.
Right.
But I'm not going to go with Liberty. Belmont with Casey Alexander is an intriguing choice.
Yeah.
They actually won on a play. They clinched their automatic bid with a play called Liberty, which they stole from Liberty when Casey Alexander was at Lipscomb last year and lost to them in the ASUN final. Winthrop, good, solid basketball school. Not really feeling it. Bradley, they made it last year, made it again this year.
Yeah.
Still.
Scotty James, former school.
Exactly. So a lot of Liberty references here early on. Utah State, we're getting closer to who I think. They're a really good program, really good team. I think they have a chance to win a game or two. But I think the team to watch out for is ETSU. They're 30-4 right now, and they really have shown up and shown out this season. They're not a team you normally hear as a Cinderella program. They're not that big, like, mid-major school.
Yeah.
But they've had a really solid season this year. And they have a good team and great chemistry, and they play well together. And they've really just they beat LSU on their home court. And that's something that Liberty couldn't do earlier in the year. And I would say Liberty might be my next choice on the list as far as who would be a Cinderella. So I would say out of these 6 teams, ETSU has everything that it takes to be a Cinderella.
Well, for me, I'll just be the homer and just tell you that the 3 teams that have won 30 games this season are San Diego State, ETSU, and Liberty. And Liberty, while they do play in the ASUN, which kind of had a down year this year. Last year, we had a Lipscomb team where they were awesome. People were talking about, they might get a,
automatic bid.
Well, not an automatic bid, but an
like
at-large bid.
Yeah.
And, talking about Liberty had to win this game. They were always the underdog. And going into this season, Liberty had all these high expectations, a game scheduled where, you go at Vanderbilt, you go at LSU, you go to this tournament in the Bahamas where no one really knows anything about it. It's a weird environment.
You're in the middle of a lobby.
Right. It looked like they're playing in a hotel lobby is literally what it looked like.
I think it was. Plus, the TV broadcast wasn't very strong.
No. Flow Sports needs to get it together, but either way, or just sell themselves to ESPN. But anyway, of the two teams, the reason why I say Liberty has the best chance to be a Cinderella team of these 6 teams is because of the style of play that they use. It's such an extreme, on the spectrum where everybody wants to play fast. That's why Virginia does so well in the ACC, because you have to prepare for the style of play every time you play them, and it's against the grain of every single way that you play every other team. You're not going to rush Liberty just in the same way you're not going to rush Virginia. And Liberty has playmakers. Caleb Holmesley, MVP of the ASUN, MVP of the tournament, and he had a huge 30-point bomb against Mississippi State last year.
Yep.
And that great
His
comeback
party. Yeah.
Right. And so they also have 4 seniors, 3 of them fifth-year seniors. And in the tournament, especially with the, one and done and people leaving early nowadays, it is so important to have those seniors on your team. And these guys now know what it takes to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
And also remember, they almost beat Virginia Tech.
Yeah, they were close right
round.
up until the very end.
And so I think Liberty, as homer as it sounds, of these 6 teams, they're a 30-win team.
Yeah, no, you can't.
And I think
if you win 30 games, regardless of who you play, that's a really big accomplishment.
Right.
And that's something that you need to point out about NCAA basketball is It's not necessarily your strength of schedule that matters. It's whether or not you won every single night.
And that's what's funny about the NCAA tournament too, is like you can be the greatest team on the planet, but if you don't match up well and you have an off shooting night or one of your best players doesn't play well, your season's over. It's done. There's not a 7-game series. There's not, we'll get them tomorrow. It's based solely on the matchups, and that's why I give Liberty a better shot than ETSU, because they play so different and it's harder to prepare for, especially if they win that first game. I think, honestly, Liberty did a disservice to itself. They played a scrimmage against Virginia Tech earlier that season. It was like their first game.
Yep, it was preseason.
And they
didn't
played
count.
for Puerto Rico. Like they raised money for a hurricane that went through there. Honestly, I think if Liberty did not play in that game, I'm not going to say they would have won, but they definitely, I think they would have given themselves a better shot because Virginia Tech had already seen them that season. So anyway, let's move on to our next segment, which we're going to call Foul or All Ball. Y'all are very familiar with this segment.
But for those of you who aren't.
Right. We are basically going to go through and we're going to ask each other whether the following statement is foul or all ball, meaning is it so awful that we're going to have to call a foul, or is it a clean block? So, Jason, the Houston Astros will have a losing record this year.
That's me banging on a trash can, in case you're curious. Yes, they're going to have a losing record this year. Have you watched them at all? Have you seen the videos of them in spring training? They look lost. I'm not even saying that as like a joke. Their head's not in it. Like, you can tell they went from being these lovable, like, Cinderella-esque story team of guys.
They went to being America's team to being hated by America.
Literally. Oh, just in what seemed like overnight. And the reaction and the hatred that they're going to face day in and day out, it's just going to be hard for them to manage their heads. You've already seen it take a toll on Altuve, on Correa, on Bregman. They're all struggling right now. Bregman seems to be trying to force things whenever people start railing on him. He tries to swing harder, and from what we know in baseball and in softball and sports like that, the harder you swing, the less likely you are to make contact.
Yeah.
And so their batting averages are going to drop. They're going to just be trying to crush home runs to silence the crowd, and it'll happen a few games when they're having good nights. But then the next day, people will be talking about, oh, were they using trash cans again? And so they're just never going to hear the end of it this year. And so they're in for a very, very long season. You're going to see a significant, in my opinion, drop-off with this team. So it is all ball.
There you go.
Jordan. LeBron James will end up being the greatest basketball player of all time, the GOAT.
I'm gonna go to replay on this one.
Jordan.
I think we have a lot.
Jordan. That's not an option.
The plays in development.
Jordan.
They haven't made contact yet.
Jordan.
He has.
So it's all ball if they haven't made contact yet.
Not yet. They're on the way up. LeBron James.
You can't, Jordan.
No, listen.
Do you understand the point of the game?
I understand the point of the
You
game.
pick things where
but
you
I'm not
give
gonna
an answer
I'm not
of
gonna
foul
pick.
or all ball.
I refuse to pick this one yet. If LeBron James wins 2 more championships, I will concede that to him. They're gonna win one this year. I'm fairly confident in that.
Okay.
If he wins another one, after the Lakers are gonna kind of have to restructure their team because of all the 1-year contracts that they have, and do it again with Anthony Davis, if they re-sign him, which I have a feeling they will, I might be able to concede that, especially seeing how he's playing this year, year 17.
You see,
I want to say yes, but I'm not ready to. So I would say the play is still under review.
You see, you're seeing exactly what I saw as a Cleveland fan for my entire life. This guy's a freak, like in a good way.
Yeah.
He's just better than anyone and everyone on the court. So I know it's not my question to answer, but it's all ball.
Okay. Jason, the New Orleans Pelicans will sneak into the final and 8th Western Conference playoff spot.
I'm calling foul on this one.
There's no way.
There's no way. Zion has been out for way too long this year, and that's what people are basing their
and
opinion on.
I would even argue that Zion hasn't made that big a difference because they continue to lose games even though he's on the floor.
Yeah, granted they've been close. Like you look
they're
at
not
the
getting
Mavericks
blown
game.
out,
Yes.
but they're still losing.
No, absolutely. And one of the things I do want to point you to is every rookie has a rookie slump once you hit like that 30 games played mark. Zion's going to hit that right at the tail end of the season.
Yeah.
And when the rookie slump hits, it becomes a lot more difficult. And especially if you're at the end of the year, you're not going to be able to push through as well as you could have. In the middle of the year, you're not going to see the tail end of that slump. So he might go into next year having really slumped hard at the end of this season. And so I don't think that the New Orleans Pelicans are going to finish this year well or start next year well. And granted, that's a bold and hot take. And I understand a lot of people are still going to pick the Pelicans as that 8th seed. I just don't see it. They're not coming together like we thought they would. Zion looks just as good as advertised, but elite players help their teams win games.
Yeah.
Great players get the highlights.
Right.
And right now, he just looks like a great player. He's not elite. And that comes with time, and it may come within the next few years. But right now, he's just a great player.
Right, and even people are saying, oh, Zion should end up winning the Rookie of the Year. And then, no, Ja Morant has his team in the 8th playoff spot.
Yeah.
And he's still putting up numbers.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why Zion Williamson should win Rookie of the Year.
The only
if
reason
he were to win Rookie of the Year, that'd be the 2nd greatest upset of Rookie of the Year when Ben Simmons stole it from Donovan Mitchell.
After being a second-year player in the league.
So dumb.
So dumb.
I'm
Jordan,
still salty about it.
the coronavirus will force the NCAA to ban fans at March Madness.
I'm going to say foul for now. They may change the rule, though. If it started today, I would.
Jordan.
If it started today, I would. There's no question there'd be fans at the game.
Okay.
But if in a week's time the entire state of Washington is on lockdown, that may change, at locations. Let's say this. Some refs may call this a foul. Some refs see it the other way.
Jordan, you're missing the whole point of
It's
this game.
It's a very broad question.
Jordan.
So I need to be able to explain
This whole
it.
game is about giving hot takes and about making a
Okay,
bold call.
I will say next week they will not. So I will say foul. They will not have to ban fans from March
thank
Madness.
you. That's all I've wanted for your two answers, Jordan.
The atmosphere and the money that the NCAA will lose out on will be too great. Monetarily. I personally think, from a stance of, I like when people don't die. Maybe it's something to consider, but as a fan of basketball, I think that
as a fan of people not dying, thank you for that in-depth analysis.
I mean, people are dying left and right of the flu, and nobody bats an eye. But this coronavirus,
well, because the percentage numbers are that much higher, and
nobody's dying.
If you look at the flu, it's about like 0.3% or something like that. I think there's 45,000 out of the 48 million people impacted, and so that's not.
You know how many people in the state of Virginia died last year from the flu?
How many?
700.
But how many people were impacted by it?
I have no idea.
Probably multiple millions, because of the amount of people that are in this state.
That's what I mean. So many people are getting the flu and nobody's batting an eye. And we have all these shots for flus, but people are still dying.
That's why people aren't batting an eye. If you get the flu shot, you're probably not going to die. And a lot of the people...
You never know anymore. And that's the thing, is like people are continually...
All right, we're going to go down like an anti-vaxxer.
Okay, here we go.
We got to move on. I don't...
Jason,
this isn't the point of the
last
show,
one for
Jordan.
you.
We're not
Last
in
one.
politics.
Last one for you. A mid-major will win the NCAA tournament for men's basketball.
Jordan, unlike you, I make bold claims, and I know how to stick with my calls.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with all ball.
Who?
I'm going to go with
Gonzaga?
Dayton.
I like that.
I
would love if they won.
Yeah, I would too. Being an Ohio kid, I've always deep down respected Dayton. They're a basketball city. Mm-hmm. They're a basketball school. And the team this year, led by Obi Toppin, they play well together.
Yeah.
And they're fun to watch. They're exciting to watch. This might be the most exciting team to watch in basketball this year. And people don't get to watch them because they play on like Spectrum Sports. Yeah. I saw a game on ESPN and it kept like cutting in and out because Spectrum Sports' quality broadcast was so bad.
Oh man.
But man, Dayton is so good. And I'm not even going to say that it has to be Dayton, but there are 3 mid-major schools who I would say have the ability to win the tournament this year. And you look at San Diego State, you look at Dayton, and you look at Gonzaga. And you never know, there could be a sleeper this year. We talked about Liberty earlier. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship. But they have a chance to knock out some important Power 5 players this year, teams this year. So I think the level of parity between mid-major and Power 5 this year in NCAA basketball is as close as it will ever be. And if there's a year for a mid-major other than Gonzaga, because if you ask SB Nation or whatever, Gonzaga's not a mid-major. So besides Gonzaga,
but
they are technically.
But they are.
You look at they are. And so, but if there's going to be a year that another mid-major other than Gonzaga makes the NCAA final, it's going to be this year. And I think Dayton has everything needed to make that run. Jordan, we have one more question.
All right.
And I need you to give your boldest statement. No more, we're going to the replay monitor.
Okay.
No more, let's pull the fans.
All right, let's do it.
Tom Brady will end up back with the Patriots.
I'm going to say foul.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's he going?
I don't know, but I think that the Patriots need to move on. And I kind of am getting the feeling that they want to move on as well. So, especially with these, nothing's going to be finalized until these CBA talks get resolved and voted on, which is a whole nother thing. But Tom Brady has had such a great career with the Patriots,
Mm-hmm.
and you hate to see it end. And this happens a lot, where guys run out, they still want to play, but their team knows that they have a future ahead of them longer than their career. And we kind of even saw it with Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Injuries had a lot to do with his move to the Broncos, but Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl, and if Tom Brady wants to move on to and continue to play, I believe the Patriots are gonna be like, you need to go to another team, and that's my bold statement for the day.
You made one of three, Jordan.
Yeah.
One of three bold statements.
All right.
So what's this next segment you have listed out
Yes,
here?
we have a
We've
sports
never-
trivia question of the day.
We've never done this before.
No, we haven't. It's
I
a brand new.
I don't know if I like this.
Right for our live video audience, for this episode, and it's just a trivia question, and I want to see if you can get it right. So
Is this
today-
the question to test my?
Peyton Manning,
Okay.
one of the great Tennessee quarterbacks of all time, and ended up being one of the greatest quarterbacks ever
Yes.
of all time, especially in the regular season. Two-time Super Bowl champion. How many NCAA championships did he win with Tennessee, and what years were they?
I feel like this might be a. Ooh. So first off, I have to try and figure out when he played at Tennessee. It had to have been. Would have been around mid-90s. You see, Jordan, you're the college football guy here. You ask me a baseball question, odds are I'm gonna get it. So I'm gonna say, just for fun, I'm gonna say he didn't win any.
He didn't. You're right.
That's what I thought. I
Yeah.
wasn't 100% certain. That's why I
Yeah.
thought it was a trick question.
So his last year was in 1997, but they won a championship in 98. But they
Really?
they did not win a championship with Peyton Manning.
That's hard to believe
Yeah.
because of his success in the
Right.
NFL. But look at you.
A lot of
Look at me.
Tennessee. That's good.
Look at me, people. Sports genius.
A lot of people.
My hairline is really receding.
A lot of people attribute that championship in '98 to Peyton Manning's work and his play on the field,
and building the program.
building the
up.
program a little bit. But
Mhm.
his name is kind of on that '98 plaque, but he did not receive a ring for that.
Fine by me. I got the answer right. Shout out
Yeah.
to Peyton Manning for losing.
Well, Jason, do you want to introduce our last segment?
Oh, you know I do. It's
I
our
know.
favorite. And normally Jordan's voice is a lot stronger for this segment.
Usually.
But
So I'll go first.
yeah, Jordan will go first, and then I'll end us on a high note.
Yeah.
But it's called WGYG. What grinds your gears? And this is a segment where we, as our dedicated listeners would know, but we rant about one thing for a short bit of time. It's our chance to express frustration with sports, politics, culture,
Life.
the world, each other.
Yeah.
We've done that before multiple times when Jordan forgot my name on my birthday or how old I was or whatever it was. So we've done it all. We've covered it all in this segment. So prepare yourselves. Buckle yourselves in. It's a roller coaster.
That was so dumb.
Okay, Ouija.
Uh,
But what grinds your gears? Jordan, you go first.
like Jason said, I've been reffing intramural basketball for the last, I think it's 4 weeks now, 4 or 5 weeks.
I show no sympathy for you.
I know. So I just want to tell you this story. It's more of a funny story, but it also is annoying at the same time.
Okay, I think I know what story you're going to tell me
So-
because it kind of involves my current roommate.
Yes, just a little bit. So this kid goes up for a layup. I didn't see a foul. In fact, I don't even think the guy touched him. And he
Naturally.
Yeah. And he throws it right off his knee, like going up. And I have to go other way, whatever opposite color ball.
Other way.
Yeah, other way. And so I'm standing there. I'm about to give it to the guy to inbound out of bounds. And the guy goes, "Hey, you got to call that foul." I was like, "I didn't see anything. Move on." He's like, "No, there isn't any moving on. You got to call that foul." I was like, "Dude, I didn't see anything." And the one line of, "Dude, you got to call that foul," and me saying, "I didn't see anything," lasted for 3 times, again and again. And then I realized, as an official, why am I arguing with this guy?
You have a whistle.
Right. And
You have a
so
whistle for a reason.
all right. And I told him, I said, "If you say one more thing, I'm going to tee you up." And then he said, "I don't care. You have to call that foul." And so I hit him with the technical right there. And then his next line was, "Why don't you just throw me out?" I said, "That's fine. You're out of here."
Easiest ejection you'll ever give.
Right. So what grinds my gears is, why even come to the game if you're going to ask to be ejected from the game?
And now he owes $10.
And he's suspended.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
The dude made a grave mistake.
Oh, that's funny. But it's also like, what are you doing? You dummy.
Some people, even though they're in college, aren't smart.
Very true. That is for sure.
And I think we recognize that firsthand.
Yes.
So I'll go. And
Jason, what grinds your gears?
Oh, Jordan, let me tell you. I mentioned at the start of the show what time we were recording today.
Yep.
8 o'clock in the morning.
You got here early. I was very proud of you.
Oh, it was a struggle.
Got here at 7:52, I believe.
I rolled out of bed because I live by the code of you have to be early.
Yeah.
You never want to be late to something. And so I knew I had to get here a little early. I also am terrible at timing things out, so I left 15 minutes early, thinking that it would take me 15 minutes to walk from my dorm, which is quarter of a mile away, to get here. Also not going to happen. However, 8 o'clock in the morning. Jordan, I asked you multiple times the past few weeks, "Hey, can we wake up early and record the podcast?" My time for early was like 9:30, 10. And you said, and I quote, "I want to sleep in." So people, when you hear me complain about waking up for an 8 a.m. podcast on a Tuesday morning, just realize that I've been trying to get you content for the past several weeks at a later time. And now I have to get up and be on camera looking professional at 8 o'clock in the morning? Are you kidding me, Jordan? You had so many other options. We didn't even have classes, like certain classes for us last week on Thursday morning.
I had RA Connect.
You're not an RA.
RS Connect.
Sorry, 2 weeks ago, we didn't have certain classes in the morning.
You talking about Global Focus Week?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I asked you, "Hey."
When did you ask me?
I said, the day that I saw you in class, I went, "Hey, do you want to record tomorrow morning since we don't have either of our RS Connect classes?" Because yours is at 9:45.
I don't remember.
Mine's
Honestly,
at 11:15.
I genuinely don't remember
And
this conversation.
I said, we could get there at like 10 and we'd be good to go. And you said, "No, I don't want to wake up that early."
I genuinely don't remember that
It 100% happened because I went, you're joking, right?
I genuinely don't
And you're like,
remember that.
"No, I'd rather go to the gym." I was like, "What?" So Jordan picked the gym over podcast.
I genuinely don't
And
remember
because of it, I had to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
that. You did. And you did. That's the important thing.
No, I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, well, yeah. I woke up at 7:20, if that helps.
Well, that's what grinds my gears, Jordan. You woke up after me.
I did. And I got here, went to the rot, came back. Did it take you like 5 minutes to put on a shirt? Like, what are you doing?
I showered. Jordan,
So did I.
I had to be on camera today. I had to look professional.
Do I not? I'm wearing a t-shirt, but that's whatever.
I mean, it's okay, but my hair's all slicked back.
You look good. You look good.
Thank you. This doesn't happen in 5 minutes, Jordan.
Yeah.
This is a process.
Well, since you're so mad that you have to be here, why don't you close this out?
Well, good. I can go take a nap again.
Yeah.
It's only 8:56. I can go back to sleep. But thank you for finally recording.
Yes.
We'll probably be back here sooner rather than later because, like we said, we have some interviews coming up. So for those of you listening or watching back at home, we hope you enjoyed this special edition of the Walk On Podcast. Stay tuned for more episodes coming your way very soon. But we'll let you go for now. Jordan, for you and I, we thank you and have a good night. Thank you for listening to the Walk On Podcast.